it's often a meme in the ex-vegan community that vegans will criticize these ex-vegans for never having actually been vegan in the first place. Now, there is a lot to be said about that topic, and we won't be talking about that today, but we will be talking about a prominent anti-vegan, ex-vegan figure who makes all sorts of claims against veganism on her Twitter. Now, to begin with, the problem with a lot of these anti-vegan / ex-vegan accounts is that they rely heavily, if not solely, on anecdotal evidence. The recounting of their own life and how these things unfolded, then attributing whatever issues they have to something that they have a particular issue with. It should go without saying that anecdotal evidence is not reliable whatsoever. Just quickly, for anyone who thinks that anecdotal evidence is powerful enough to rely on, for any claim that you want to make about your experience, someone can make the complete opposite claim and say that that's their experience. How do we actually hash out what is actually the case? This is why we need more reliable sources of evidence. But that aside, let's just explore how this anti-vegan, who claims to be ex-vegan, who claims all of her problems that she's talking about were because of veganism. Let's have a look at the evidence out there that she actually wasn't even vegan during this period of time. And for this video, we're going to be using a thread by Veganella talking about recovering vegan. She was subsequently blocked by this account. For those who've missed the last 48 hours, at Vegan Recovering has been found to be misleading others about how long she was vegan for and blaming her ailments on a vegan diet. Let's look at the facts. She claims to have been vegan for 18 years. Recovering Vegan says, I was vegan 18 years, vegetarian off on since 1986. I started a keto diet with meat 2020, but still eating plants and still have autoimmune issues. But all my other vegan health problems disappeared: coughing, sinus, migraine, cystic acne, constant candida, UTIs, etc. So even in this tweet, she's saying that she was on and off vegan vegetarian. So to blame it on veganism to begin with by your own accord, you weren't even vegan. So how are you going to blame it on veganism? Her own post shows she was vegan for 2 years from 2003 to 5 and then possibly a period in 2018, see below. And the circled areas are the talk, I made a commitment to mostly plant-based diet for a whole week now, I know that's not much. And in this, interestingly, she says after 1 week on a plant-based diet, no dairy or meat, the rings slide right on again. Obviously the dairy and meat were causing inflammation and pain. So beforehand, from a week of eating mostly plant-based, she's saying, okay, well, the inflammation was clearly caused by these foods. So this is kind of a habit of hers, kind of attributing a problem that she has to a particular food that she no longer eats for like a week. Now, you can accuse vegans of being, biased and saying, well, of course you're going to say, oh no, it wasn't veganism. But I'm going to say, even in this case, you can't just say, oh yeah, it was definitely the meat and dairy that was causing the inflammation and the swelling. This is why we need further evidence, because otherwise you're just going to go around in circles. 2 years from now, you're probably going to blame something else. And here she also says, when I was vegan in 2003 to 2005. Here are many posts of her eating animals and animal products during the time she claimed she was vegan. And as we can see from these pictures, she says, this beautiful woman dead us an organic breakfast at sunrise on a cold morning at Burning Man. And that's loads of flesh and eggs. This woman dead us? It was that kind of weird Freudian slip. Perhaps. And there are more posts of her eating animals. Have you seen the post where she does before and after vegan versus carnivore? Here she's admitting to using Photoshop. She shows a picture where she says before retouching and says left 2014, age 52, after I'd been mostly raw vegan, then some eggs for 12 years. I was also eating bread and grains. I was very sick all the time with candida and bronchitis. Right, 2020, age 58, after 1 year low carb, high fat and eating meat again. So it's really weird. She keeps saying, oh, mostly raw vegan. It looks from the post that she's made when she's like, oh, mainly plant-based, on and off vegan, vegetarian. It seems like she was never even vegan. I think it's safe to say this without it being part of the meme of, oh, you did it wrong, you didn't do it right. From your own accord, it looks like you weren't actually vegan. It looks like your diet was constantly changing. Veganism, the philosophy of trying to avoid the exploitation and killing of animals, wasn't something on your agenda. It was just, okay, I'm just going to kind of eat whatever, and then one time it will look like this, the next week it will look like that. This is just a mess, and it's showing how unreliable these anecdotes are. It cannot guide us to the truth in the way that people seem to think it will. In her own words, marketing is a contest for attention. The winner is the one who tells the best story. To be clear, I confronted her on this and she had a chance to respond and clarify, but refused to. She had the chance to come clean, but didn't. Instead, she chose to block. In fact, I asked her many times over the years before I was presented with this information. It's just weird, like her picture is recovering vegan, one steak at a time. That's her at recovering vegan, at vegan recovering. There's this whole thing about how she's recovering from having been vegan, but we're seeing this kind of unfold. Like, when were you actually vegan? And it seems like, you know, during this period, you were apparently seeing positive results when you went plant-based for a week, and then you were blaming something else, another food group. It just doesn't really add up. Veganella says, I'm sharing this for two reasons. One, she's spreading misinformation about veganism as a way to turn people off and to gain attention for a brand, book. Two, I don't agree with her purposefully misleading people. It's immoral. I hope she will be honest to others now. The truth is more important than attention. And yeah, this is really misleading. You see this a lot in the diet communities. I mean, even misleading people about what veganism is a problem in itself. But to say that something caused you an issue and you weren't even partaking in that in the first place, why? Why are you doing this? I hate to psychoanalyze, and you know, maybe I'm wrong, probably am wrong, but it does feel like one of these cases where somebody is very fixated on there being a problem and they constantly want to attribute it to something, but obviously the problem doesn't go away. Because they're not actually fixing the root cause. They're not using, you know, like actual reliable evidence to come to some sort of solution to deal with the problem. So in order to take control, they feel like they have to attribute it to something, and it's always going to be something new because the problem's not going to go away. It really does feel like this is something that happens with these anti-vegans, and it's not just them, it's other people, but it seems rife with this group of people. Update, apparently cooking some plant-based meals and promoting vegan festivals means vegan recovering was vegan. I ate vegan and vegetarian food as a meat eater. Sure as hell didn't make me vegan or vegetarian. So in response to this, recovering vegan said, I was exposed as a fake vegan by Veganella. She left out all the misguided vegan posts I made when I was deep into the cult, including studying #vegan cooking with a protege of Anne Wigmore, working as a vegan caterer and doing PR for vegan festivals. #I did it wrong. So she's doing the meme. She's doing the thing where it's like, oh, you're saying I did it wrong. Yeah, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what veganism is. Just because you promote vegan festivals doesn't mean you're vegan. Am I a footballer if I share football posts or go to the stadium and watch people playing football? No, there's a certain criteria under an identity, under a term, and if you don't fit it, you're not that. It's kind of as simple as that. I don't know why they go to, you're saying I did it wrong. No, we're saying you didn't do it, and you're saying that you did, and you're blaming some of your problems on it. Like, that's a problem. Veganella says, tragic coping. Based. I posted the evidence. None of this disputes the receipts, Giselle. Recovering Vegan said from 2002 to 2019 promotes dozens of events and conferences that featured yoga, healthy vegan food, and permaculture. I thought this was the most conscious path for the planet. I had no idea that there would be a nutritional downside to this ideal. Nutritional downsides of which you haven't actually posted reliable evidence for. The only evidence that you've provided is that you are unwell, but in your own words, you can't actually substantiate that you were indeed vegan. Instead, you just talk about promoting vegan festivals. Come on now. Now, unfortunately, if Recovering Vegan sees this video, she'll probably think it's bullying because she thought that this thread by Veganella was indeed bullying. She said, I haven't posted much today because I was traumatized by bullying from vegan influencer Veganella. I'm disabled. I live in 24/7 intractable pain. I have trouble walking and have several autoimmune spinal disease documented by neurosurgeons. Veganism did this to me. And this is what's dangerous. It's horrible that people have to live with disabilities, with chronic conditions that cause so much pain, cause like debilitating issues, but to attribute it to something that one, you weren't actually doing, and in order to kind of dispute what Veganella was saying, you didn't even actually dispute it. Instead, again, you talked about festivals you promoted. Like, do you really think that makes you vegan? Do you think that somebody who eats animals but then shares like an animal cruelty video is a vegan person? Like, Come on, you surely don't think that. And I agree with Saffron here. Exposing dangerous lies in a logical, factual way isn't bullying. She's one of the most respectful, calm tweeters I've ever come across. Anyone that knows her and knows you won't buy this victim tweet. And I must say, it's really intriguing to kind of bring up the problems that you have, attribute it to something that you can't substantiate. It does come across as though you're trying to get an emotive response from people and paint Veganella as this bad person, because, you know, why would she be going after somebody with these chronic illnesses? Well, again, you're someone who's saying that these illnesses are as a result of something. You're misleading people. You haven't got reliable evidence for these claims. For all you know, it could well be the case that something like a given plant-based diet could be helpful for these things, but you haven't actually seemingly looked into this any further than your personal experience. How is that going to be helpful to other people? How is that going to be helpful to yourself? And underneath the tweet, another tweeter says, "You're right, Veganella comes across as gentle and caring. I too have an autoimmune disease and pain most of the time. Turning vegan has helped my inflammatory process, to say nothing of my non-fasting cholesterol, which is lower than ever before." And again, how does recovering vegan deal with this issue? With someone coming along and saying, "I also have this issue, and this thing has actually helped." How does she pass out this problem? Is she just going to say, okay, well, you're lying to yourself? Is she going to say, okay, well, that's not reliable because that's your personal experience? Because if she's going to say that, then she has to dismiss hers as well. This is, again, why we don't rely on anecdotal evidence. But yeah, I thought I'd share this with you, see what's going down on Twitter. Another example of an ex-vegan who arguably wasn't even vegan to begin with. And we see this a lot, so much so that the meme comes out of, oh, I didn't do it right, or I wasn't vegan enough for you. It's like, well, sorry, sometimes your own words demonstrate that you weren't part of a label. You didn't actually fit that role. And now you're claiming, oh, it did these horrible things to you. You are now misleading people and you're denying reality to yourself. And I don't really know which one's more sad. But yeah, I hope Recovering Vegan doesn't see this as bullying. She probably will if she sees this video. I don't even know if she will see it. But I think it's important to once again demonstrate that anecdotal evidence isn't reliable, that people will go to extreme lengths to go against a worldview, and that this isn't helpful to getting any closer to the truth. Like, what is true after reading this thread? Oh my god. But thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more stuff over on Twitter, then do follow me. I tweet every single day, basically. Have a little fight with anti-vegans quite often. It's quite fun, I think. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then please smash like and leave a comment down below. I do hope you're well. And until next time, salad. I will see you soon.